When President Kenyatta asked for advice about how to handle President Trump during his state visit to Washington, a lobbyist told him talk business and security. It turned out to be a good steer, with Kenyatta emerging as Trump's man in Africa, which is something I actually predicted. The two hit it off at a press conference after the meeting, a far warmer show than Trump's painful meeting with Nigeria's President Buhari. However, Trump has shown next to no interest otherwise in Africa. His wife Melania has announced she will be making her first visit ever in October, a month before the ruling Republicans face midterm elections. Redcap tweeted, "Help explains why President Kenyatta is rejecting the finance bill because it does not impose 16% VAT on fuel. Sovereign downgrades are not what Kenya needs when it no longer has IMF support." We can say that again. So Kenya announced that its standby deal with the IMF is over, but they will continue engaging with the fund. Yes, the program has ended, Henry Rotich told reporters when asked about the IMF standby arrangement. I wrote yesterday that the IMF standby facility was never drawn down and it was always about signaling. We have dived into the Eurobond markets, and the facility was a signal to that market and others that we were deserving of a policy-making premium. And frankly, the IMF facility was cheap at the price because it had a beneficial effect on our borrowing spread. I also appreciate that we're sitting at a record high in regard to FX reserves. However, if you look around the world today, what was once a benign environment for EM in the frontier, which was surfing a golden wave of practically free dollar liquidity, has become dark, turbulent, and violent. Look at Turkey, where Erdogan's Turkish lira has been in free fall. India, where the rupee is trading new all-time lows every day. The Fed's balance sheet reducing and choking off the supply of cheap dollars. And here in Africa, look at Zambia, where the bond prices are pricing in a default. And therefore, to forego the facility now would seem perverse. You are throwing over an insurance policy just when you need it the most. So I, for one, think the macho talk is poorly advised. Therefore, we should be prudent and not cavalier at this juncture. Kenya let 1.5 billion IMF standby loan expire. That's from Bloomberg. There's nothing unique about a program ending, Henry said. We've had a successful 2-year program which is now coming to an end, and we will come to engage with the fund with a view to enter into a new arrangement or relationship. We can still engage and get back into it if we think it is necessary, he said. Shilling dropped 0.3%. Yields on the country's 10-year Eurobonds gained a basis point. Kenya isn't facing a balance of payments crisis. The credibility that is attached to an IMF approval or acknowledgement should not be discounted, Gibran Qureshi. This is what Henry said. We should be relying less and less on IMF facilities, especially because we have come of age in macroeconomic management and we're able to go to the international capital markets with or without the fund. We should be disavowed of that notion, and that's why I'm worried, actually, that he should be thinking that way. Principal Treasury Kamal Thuge said early on Thursday the IMF recommended the government not exceed a threshold of 74% of net present value. I've never heard them say such a thing. So as I said, you're throwing over an insurance policy just when you need it most. It was to protect you against exogenous shocks, and the world suddenly you're seeing a lot of shocks coming from an exogenous direction. Regarding the fines that were levied on the banks, I said the central bank is bearing its fangs, trying to bring under control what have been Wild West operations. Chief executives and employees of banks who helped ship out billions of shillings from the NYS will be arrested and prosecuted, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Nurdin Haji, has said. I've met with the Governor of the Central Bank and with the head of the Financial Reporting Centre to discuss and agree with them how we can ensure the banking system is not used to launder the proceeds of theft and fraud. From today, those banks that break our anti-money laundering laws and regulations will at a minimum lose their banking licenses. And really, it's a very sensitive issue, and if the banks don't get ahead of the curve, these banks in particular, proof of the pudding will be in the eating. They're going to be in deep trouble. In a bear market, you're going to see their share prices affected. Nigeria's Woes sees MTN's market value sink below Safaricom's. Quite incredible. And what I thought was maybe this is the time for Safaricom and Bob Collymore to consider a takeover, even a hostile one, of MTN. The Nairobi Stock Exchange has been hit plumbing new lows. The NSE 20 has been in a bear market for a while. The all share goes in a bear market today. Shares that have touched their lowest levels since listing: Kenya Power, Mumias, Nation Media, Deacons. Kenya shilling 101.19. Let's see what happens today. Nairobi all shares down 8.04% year to date. NSE 20 down 19.45% year to date. Ramanyang tweeted, Kenya's main index closes nearly 1% lower at well under 3,000 points. Year to date losses 19.45%. And that took me back to Mirrors on the Ceiling, the pink champagne on ice. And she said, we are all just prisoners here of our own device. Last thing I remember, I was running for the door. I had to find the passage back to the place I was before. Relax, said the night man. We are programmed to receive. You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave. This is a photograph of an accident involving 6 vehicles on Kenyatta Avenue. And some bright spot tweeted, having looked at that photograph, everybody's phone has been nicked, no doubt. US presence, Kenya with the official letter authorizing direct flights, KAA, to receive 150 million shillings for additional security equipment and training. A flight direct to New York, something that sounds quite tempting.